Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's Ivett Sunday. I am going to be showing you guys how I make my pot roast. It is a hit every time, and now that fall is here, it's one of those comfort meals for me. I don't use a crock pot, I use a Dutch oven, and there's a couple extra steps, but it makes it that much better. So if you want to see how I do it, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to need 2 medium-sized yellow onions, 2 sprigs of fresh rosemary. I like to buy my carrots in bundles like this with the big old tops on. So each bundle usually comes with about 5 medium-sized carrots, so about 10 total. You're going to need some low sodium beef broth, some red wine. I buy the cheapest red wine possible. It really doesn't make a difference if you use an expensive wine or a cheap wine. It all ends up tasting the same. So I think this one was about $5. And 2 1/4 pounds of a beef chuck roast. So I buy this one. It has the fat marbled throughout it, because if you buy the one that claims to be for pot roast, it's like a big chunk of meat with no fat in it. It will not get tender, and it's just not good. So I buy that one. So this is what you're gonna need, so let's get started. Okay, so once you have given your carrots a good rinse, I'm not going to peel them because it kind of makes it a little bit more rustic. So all I'm going to do is cut the tip of the carrot off, and then I'm just gonna cut it into like slanted little pieces, but they're kind of like maybe like inch and a half long. So that's what I do. And then as for the onions, I'm just going to peel them and cut them in half. So that's all I'm going to do for those. So don't even worry about the fat marbling in the meat, because we will be pulling it apart, so you're not going to be eating all of that fat, but it will just give it a richer flavor. So we're just going to season it with a little bit of sea salt and some ground black pepper. And we're just gonna flip it over. And then we're just gonna do the same thing for the other side. We're gonna turn the heat up to medium high, and in a Dutch oven, I'm going to place about 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil and just let that heat up for a minute. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sear the chuck roast on both sides for about 2 minutes on each side. And it's an extra step, but I promise it makes a world of a difference. So that's what we're going to do right now. So in you go. Okay, so now it's been about 2 minutes, and I'm just going to flip the meat over. And see how the edges got all nice and brown? That's exactly what you want. So wait about another 2 minutes, and then we're going to move it over back onto the cutting board. Just like so. So in go the carrots. So for the carrots, I just want to cook them for about 2 minutes, just kind of roast the edges of them, and then I'm going to transfer them back into a bowl, and I'm going to do the same thing with the onions. Then I'm going to place in the onions. Cut side face down first. So now I'm just going to flip them over after about 2 minutes. 2 minutes is a good rule of thumb for this. Okay, then I'm also going to add the onions to the bowl. And then we're going to be cooking these about 45 minutes right before the meat is completely done. Otherwise, your veggies are going to get all soggy, and that's not good. I'm going to add in 1 cup of the red wine. And the reason for the red wine is that one, it's going to dissolve any of that fat and yummy goodness that is on the bottom of the pan, and second, it's going to give the pot roast a little bit of a richer flavor. So I'm just going to stir this for about 30 seconds until it breaks down any of that fat and whatnot that might be stuck to the bottom of the pan. Then I'm going to add back in the meat, just like so. Then I'm also going to add 3 cups of the beef broth. And basically you just want the liquid to cover the beef so that it all cooks at once and you don't have like the top half hanging out. So now I'm just going to turn the heat up to medium until it comes to a boil. Then I'm also going to add in the 2 sprigs of rosemary. Just pop them in. And then I'm going to put the lid on. So now that it has come to a boil, you're just going to want to turn the heat down to your lowest heat setting and just let that cook for about 3 hours. Okay, so in about 3 hours, your meat should look like this. If you poke it with a fork, you can practically pull it apart, and then all you're going to do is place your onions back on the top. And then just dump in your carrots. And then you're going to put the lid on for another 45 minutes. And in the meantime, I usually prep my mashed potatoes and then it's done. Okay, so it's been about 45 minutes and your roast should look just like this. So I'm going to go ahead and shut the stove off. And then the first thing I'm going to do is remove the onions. And I'm going to cut these halves in halves. And then with my mashed potatoes, I'm just going to put 1 full onion right next to it. So now, as you can see, the meat is so tender that it's pretty much going to just fall apart. So it's totally up to you if you want to put it on a cutting board and then just pull it apart, or if you just want to pull it apart in the pan and serve that way. So as you can see, my meat pretty much fell apart. So all I'm going to do is split it, or actually not split it, but just pull it apart. And then I'm going to put that in the bowl as well. And then for the carrots, I'm just going to take about a big spoonful and just place those right on the side. And I'm going to take a little bit of the broth and pour that over the mashed potatoes. Okay guys, so thank you so much for watching this week's Safe It Sunday. If you do decide to give this pot roast recipe a try, let me know how you like it, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!